I lived my life in 90-day windows. That's how I built my business. You work hard for 90 days, you push, you fight, you hook, you jab, and then you have fun for 90 days.
Welcome to Impactful Conversations, stories and lessons for financial advisors. I'm your host, Dave Edgecombe. Joining me, we've got Jim Fox. He's one of our advisors here at Impact. He's in Atlanta for our annual kickoff event. We're thrilled to have you here. Where in Florida are you based out of?
Rockledge, so the Melbourne area.
Melbourne area. And you have, in my opinion, you're one of our more interesting advisors. And I'm going to do my best to not let this turn into a travel podcast because I know you're a well-traveled man, but that's also kind of how you find your way into my seat today, because you do have a very unique practice and you've worked really hard to get it to where you want it to be. So where exactly is your practice right now?
So really my practice is built around our lifestyle, and it's built around, just that Florida is known for that laid back. I mean, this is how I dress for client meetings, right?
Yep.
In early part of my career, I was in shorts and sandals, back when you're hungry and young, we do appointments on Sundays, but the rule was, hey, we were going to come in board shorts because we were going surfing afterwards. And so the practice is really developed kind of from those core years where, you're hungry, man. You're trying to make it. Michelle and I didn't have kids. So we were working whenever someone was willing to see us. And we decided that as we got bigger, that we weren't willing to give that up. I wish I could say it was easy, right? I wish I could say, oh yeah, we didn't have to put any thought into it. But we had to put a ton of thought into making this lifestyle practice really work for us.
So that was the goal. I mean, you guys kind of had that light bulb moment where it was, we don't want to be this massive Morgan & Morgan,
Yeah, Morgan & Morgan. So I swear to you, that was the conversation today, right? Here's the thing, Dave, is that we sit down and we have this conversation, and I'm telling you, almost every single day with my son, I always tell him you have choices in life. You can be average and ordinary. There's nothing wrong with that. You can be happy or you can be extraordinary. That's your choice. The problem is the difference is only that much, right? And you got to put the work in. You got to craft it. You got to build it. You got to work at it. And that's what we do with our practices. We said, you know what? We want to travel. I didn't want somebody raising my children. So we figured out how to have a practice where Michelle could be with the kids.
Yeah.
And I wanted to pick up my kids from school. So early on when they were younger, I didn't work past 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And it was just this constant evolution. But I don't know how it's happening, but we keep getting bigger, and I blame Impact for this. That we keep getting bigger and bigger, but we are still managing to keep that core lifestyle practice in play for us, and it's nice because it's not just for us, it's our team too, right? We have a fun environment. I mean, You walk into my office and it's either going to be old jazz, or it's going to be gangster rap, or it's going to be country music. You don't know what you're going to get when you come through the door with me, but everyone has fun. And I wish I could just say that it's an easy thing to do, and to grow to the size that we've grown to and have the goals that we still have in front of us. It would have been, and I'm not here to say, let's talk how great Impact is. I'm telling you, what we have now is absolutely impossible to have without the help of Impact. They help me grow, and they help me think bigger, but think more efficiently at the same time. And it's been my second best marriage ever. First being Michelle. So it's been great, man. And I think I was telling you before we went live and started talking, that we had almost 4.5 months off last year.
Which is staggering.
Right? Isn't that cool? I mean, look at a school calendar. That's how we plan our lives. We look at a school calendar, and anytime you see a 3-day weekend, we figure out how to make it work. Anytime there's a long break, spring break, Thanksgiving break, spring break, we're shoving our time in there, and it's really awesome, man. A lot of fun.
Before we get to the fun stuff, I kind of want to know about the nuts and bolts, about what you've done in your practice to enable it to kind of exist this way, and what it what it looks like.
Yeah, so I wish I could sit here and give you some level of great wisdom, and I was like, but I
was banking on it,
dude. I am the fork bent open and shoved into the electric socket kind of guy, right? We made a lot of mistakes, right? We really struggled, and I will never forget one of the guys from Impact, and he called me every other week, man, every other week. And I always ignored him every single time he called. And then one day he finally caught me just the right time. And he was like, look, man, I want to help you streamline the business. I don't want you to do more than you want to do. I just want to help you have more free time and more money to do the fun things. And he spoke my language, and we really started crafting our schedule. I became, I am the master of a calendar, and I truly am. Michelle always laughs at me when I'm building workshop calendars because I build them a year in advance.
Yep.
And she's like, why do you put so much work into them? Because I know the cycle of a new client. I know when they come to a workshop, what they're going to do. I don't do first appointments. It's just not in my plan, right? That's what my advisors do. They do the first appointments. I know it's so funny how with this coaching and working with other advisors that I've met, and Mike, we've talked, it's amazing how I can really dial in and control my practice while still giving me the free time to do the things I want to do. But it's not by accident. It takes a big team, a team that I am incapable of actually amassing myself. So that's why partnering with Impact did that for me, because now I have this massive marketing team. I've got, these what I call concierge. I don't use, I think everyone has different terms, vice presidents. They're concierge for me. Yep. They help me maximize every minute of my time so I can enjoy getting away from the practice. But the most important part is my practice is still working when I'm not there.
So what does the practice look like right now? I mean, you're down here.
Yeah. So we're at around the $20 million mark of annuity production. We're heading towards about $70 million of AUM, if that's what you're asking me.
Yeah, I think it helps. I think it really helps.
And it really
to frame
is.
It.
And that's not something that we woke up one day and got. I mean, it's been a steady grind. We will in 2025 we'll cross $30 million of annuity production, and we'll get up around. Good Lord willing, we'll get up to that, $80, $100 million mark. We don't really have this dream of being a $500 million shop. That's just not part of it. It wouldn't allow us to have the lifestyle we want. But what we do have are amazing clients, and we cherry pick our clients. We do not take everybody that comes through the door. It's a big. If we can't have a good time with our clients, they're not the right people for us.
So what's a I guess if you're in on the second appointment, what's that second appointment like when you have to say no to somebody?
It is wild. So it's funny because I always do the kick the tire analogy. Hey, today's the day that you get a chance to meet me and see if I'm a good fit for you, and I'm doing the same thing for you, and we're going to know pretty quickly if you can handle somebody as whacked out as me when we're going through this. And
you can tell pretty early on, I guess.
And it's funny because I have a new advisor that is going through the process right now working with me, and he came on an appointment just yesterday, and he said, it wasn't like we were working, like we were hanging out and they were laughing. And, my room is filled with vintage toys, and I got an R2-D2. I mean, I've got the wildest room ever. And the clients had such a great time. That's the magic that we look for. And I don't believe that happens by accident. I do believe you attract the right kind of people in the way that you carry yourself. We stopped begging for money decades ago, right? That was important. Instead, we focus on quality, and I'm not a yes man. That's another thing that gets me in trouble, because I will tell you, if you come to me with a stupid idea, I'll tell you it's a stupid idea. But for the right people, that's what they want to hear. So we have some pretty good goals this year, but the reality is we're trying to become more efficient, and obviously our practice is built more along. Everyone uses the word holistic. I hate that stupid word. Okay, but we really do focus on write it down, holistic. Not like no other financial advisor. It's like we have a holistic practice. Everybody talks about taxes, right? Come on. No, we really do have a system where clients get involved and they understand the tax code, and we use tools that simplify things. I'm just a good old redneck from Rockledge, Florida, brother, and I want, when people sit down, to feel that integrity, that honesty, but more importantly, I want them to have a good understanding of why we make the recommendations we do, as opposed to just, hey, buy this annuity, buy this investment, and let's run out the door.
What's the work week like? What's your average work week look like?
And I was talking to my vice president, my concierge with Impact, and I don't like the guy. And the reason why I don't like the guy is because I used to work Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 8 to 12. Those used to be my hours.
Gosh.
Now
bankers are jealous.
No, not even. I mean, it was awesome. Now I do get into the office early. I finish up at the gym around 6 o'clock. I get in early. And I typically work myself. I work from about 7 a.m. until probably around 3-ish, but I still want to be there for my kids. My son's a lacrosse player. My daughter's a volleyball player. He's in band. She's in musical theater.
High school, right?
Yeah. Well, my son's in high school. My daughter's in middle school.
Okay. So formative years.
Yeah, man. And there's not enough money on this planet for me to sack. And that's the funny thing. I get other advisors in events like this that go, Jim, you can make so much more money. Doesn't move my needle.
Yeah.
I can only spend so much anyway. God, I can think of ways to spend more money.
Toy room get an upgrade.
Yeah, those vintage toys aren't helping me right now. But it's really about just having a good time. So you got to love what you're doing. And it's funny because the bigger we get, the more fun I'm having, because I don't have to feel like everybody comes through the door has to be the right fit for us. And there's a lot of stories we can talk about where people weren't the right fit. Yeah. And I've had to tell them, no, thank you. And that's or hey, I'll give you $100,000 to see how it goes. Hey, I appreciate the offer, Dave. Thanks so much, buddy. But honestly, I don't feel like that's the way we should start a relationship. So I wish you the best of luck, man. If you ever need anything, pick up the phone and call us. We love to help you out. But $100,000 probably is going to move it for us. And I will tell you that. And I don't do that in an arrogant or a cocky way. I respect the time of my team, and I'm not going to have them bust their butts for us to have, $32 in revenue. That's just not going to happen.
Having a successful practice in writing, millions of dollars at AUM is one thing, but what is success? How are you able to put a number on what a successful year looks like for you? And did you have help along the way to kind of get there?
Yeah, so it's that age old, what is that quote? You got to spend money to make money, right? And the problem is when you're hungriest, guess what you typically don't have? Money, right? It's like that. And I remember just sitting down, and I'd pick advisors' brains trying to figure out what, and they would say stuff to me, Dave, that I was like, what? I'd come on to Michelle, I'm like, these people, they're insane. Yeah. Like the day that I started radio and I told Michelle that we were going to start radio was $3,000. And she goes, that's twice of the cost of our mortgage. What are you thinking, right? But one that just stands out to me is there was an advisor named Johnny, and we got to talking, super friendly guy, and we had a lot in common. Families were from the same area. And he said something like nuts, like, before I make $1, I have to spend like $50,000 a month just to cover overhead and marketing. And I to this day, I was still shocked by that, right? Yeah. Because I'm like, if I can make $50,000 a year when I was, in my 20s and 30s, I would have thought that was great. And then and I think when we were doing our pre-interview, I told you I was working on my budget, and I woke up. Now, maybe I shouldn't say this out loud, but when I was looking at my budget, I realized, oh my God, I've become that guy because of payroll. Marketing isn't cheap, right? There's just no cheap way to market. And if you do find a cheap way, good luck with that working, right? Yeah. Okay. I've tried shopping carts. I've tried anything and everything. And I was blown away that I was spending as much as I was to make the money that I was going to make, right? I mean, I need to make about $50,000 a month before I make I need to make $50,000 a month before I can even take $1 out of the account for myself, right? I mean, that's what it costs to operate the business. But the good news is it didn't start there. It wasn't like we started there. No, I remember trying to figure out how we're going to pay for radio. And I will never forget Robert saying, look, man, you're just going to step out on faith and you're going to be good at this. I'm like, some idiot like me talking. And the funny thing is I talk today exactly like I talked back then. and that evolved. And then it was like, we should do a workshop. I'm like, oh God. And of course I don't want to feed anybody. Neither do they, right? Nobody out there in finance nerd world wants to feed people at workshops. But guess what? It brings them through the door, right? Yep. And then one thing led to another. A very, very good friend of mine that I met through Impact, who's an advisor, and I won't throw out his name. If you choose to, you can. But, we were in a very similar place, a decade ago together. And I just found out he was over 400 million in AUM, right? I mean, and it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy on the planet. But we just see these folks and we say, wow, look where they're at. Well, you don't wake up there. It's a build, and the great thing was that relationship with really my marketing team going, hey, look, man, it's one step at a time. It's one workshop at a time. And that's what got us to where we're at. But if you're like me from that very first meeting at the Embassy Suites, a little conference hall with Ruth Chris and their fancy macaroni and cheese, I'll never forget it, right?
Okay.
And that guy doing $14 million of annuity, 15. I was like, if I ever do that, I'm done. I'm retiring the next year. And that just grew into the next thing and the next thing. And I think that's the magic of this business. Doing it alone is impossible in my mind, because you don't have a guide. You don't have somebody walking you through this and saying, hey, it's okay. I get it, man. It is nerve-wracking, but you know what? It was for this person and that person and that person. If you believe in yourself, if you do the things, the numbers say this will come from it, right?
Yeah.
And that's what helped us grow. But everybody that's like me, when I was doing, $2 million, then $3 million, then $4 million, it's like you're just almost like you're there, but you're not, because it costs so much money for the next jump that you're like, I'm going to spend all the money I just made to try for something that I might not get. Right. Yeah. But it is that moving goalpost. And I got to say, over the years, meeting so many super successful guys, I always feel like, in my office, I'm the big fish, right? I'm like, I'm the T-Rex in this place. I come here, I'm like the little mammal running around hiding from the dinosaurs, right? I mean, it's just crazy, but you learn so much from these guys. And the one takeaway that I think I have every time I come to this event, the gentleman who I don't like, who told you to ask me all these questions, right? He's moved my goalpost way too many times on me, but he's also been one of the greatest impacts on my business, right? And without a doubt, hands down, one of the best investments I ever made is working with him and him becoming my mentor. It wasn't cheap, it wasn't free, but you know what? It's grown my business, tenfold. And that's the beauty of this business, is you don't have to jump into it all at once. You don't need to have a $200,000 marketing budget to get started. No, find $1,000 and work with it. Find $1,500 and build off of that. And I don't have to figure this stuff out. I don't have to figure out how to make a web page. I don't know how to make a web page. I don't understand Calendly, or I can't even use the word right. Whatever. That's a stupid thing too, right? All these things, having a team of people to help you do this just makes it that much easier. And if you focus on integrity, if you focus on belief, right? Believing that you can do this, just be humble. That's a hard thing to do. I play the role like I'm doing with you today of the good old country boy, but don't get me wrong, man. God, I'm a Marine. I got this massive ego, and you got to check that ego from time to time, because you know what? You can always learn something from someone. And I think that being a student of this industry and learning and picking up details from other people and from, companies like Impact is what really helped me change the direction of our firm forever. And it's absolutely unbelievable.
And so all of this to really achieve that lifestyle practice was because your vice, for lack of a better, toys aside, is traveling.
Yeah,
I mean, that's your thing.
We travel. When the kids were young and I had time to do what you guys do now and edit videos, we had a YouTube channel all about, that was the dream, man. I was going to do finances. I was going to be a YouTube guy.
Influencer.
The problem is I don't have the face for YouTube, so I'm trying radio. But in all seriousness, so yeah, it was all about how do we put in the work. I lived my life in 90-day windows. That's how I built my business. You work hard for 90 days. You push, you fight, you hook, you jab, and then you have fun for 90 days. And that's how I built my business. And to a degree, it's still kind of similar.
In order to do that, did you kind of have to figure out what your number was? Like order what success looks like for you guys? Yeah,
the problem is, and I have a trainer that I absolutely love, and we get together all the time. He's building a business right now on the sports medicine side. And I warned him, there's a term in our industry, and these advisors that are watching right now, man, they're gonna learn this very quickly, that it's called income drift. The more that you make, the goalpost keeps moving on you, right?
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, very first event with Impact, very first event. I was a small producer, probably doing about, at the time, wasn't even doing really anything but annuities, around $4.5 million. And there was a guy that was doing $12 million. I'm like, oh my God, wow.
Yeah.
And now it's like you come in here and there's like, okay, Joe Blow did $68 million by himself last year. Yeah. And it's like, but it's just, you can make as little or as much as you want, but we've really crafted the number that made sense for us. And it's funny because now I always talk about my family, and my family is Michelle, Hunter, and River. My family is Pam and John and James and Lucas and Rob. I mean, and I get to see them have success now, and it's a shared thing. But yeah, I knew my number, and the problem is, Dave, the number keeps changing, and it never goes lower. By the way, it always gets further from me. But it's exciting because now other people are dreaming, and other people are part of this vision. And you know what? We don't have traditional time off in my office. It's not how it works. We just make sure that it's covered. And if you need 2 weeks to go check out the Amazon, go do it.
All right, you brought up the Amazon, so I got to bring up the Amazon. So I did a little deep diving. My sources, who I won't reveal, said I need to ask you about your trip.
I don't like him either.
Yeah, well, I see why, because he's asking me about your trip to the Amazon and what you can tell me about when you guys went to the Amazon.
So we were early on in life. Again, poor kid growing up. Great family. Dad was a janitor at a local middle school. My mom was a food service worker at a hospital. Mm-hmm. Man, we were so poor growing up. I didn't know it, by the way, okay, because my life was awesome. I had the greatest family ever. A lot of fishing, a lot of hunting, a lot of camping, free stuff, right? The free stuff. And so I never traveled. I never went anywhere. Never got on a plane until I went to the Marine Corps. So keep that in mind. Never got on a plane, right? And my buddy Ted was like, hey, we're all young. He's like the three of us, Michelle, Ted, and myself. His family were Mennonites, missionaries, and going back hundreds of years, and they had converted this local tribe in the middle. I don't even know where it was. It's just in the Amazon somewhere. Yeah. And we had to take small planes that float on the water. And then we had to get in dugout canoes. And, we're just hours to get there. And we stayed a week with this National Geographic level tribe. We stayed in huts, with roofs, but they weren't really roofs. Right? Roofs. Yeah. Not even you could see the outside nets so the bugs couldn't crawl on you. Food, which I know you're about to ask me about. We got to, the ceremonial drink was called Masato, some weird version of that word. And it was, they would chew up yucca and spit into a bucket, and the bucket would ferment and create like an alcohol. And that when you came there, you would drink it. That was your welcoming thing. So really weird stuff. Yeah. Welcome to that was my first real deep dive into traveling. And I was hooked, man. I was hooked and I loved it.
So where else you been?
So it's easier to say where we pretty much haven't been. We haven't touched the seventh continent. We haven't touched Antarctica yet. We haven't done Asia. That actually happens. That happens this year. So we're breaking through there. Pretty much everywhere in South America, Central America. The better part of 80%, 90% of Europe. A little bit of Africa for me, not for the family. We're doing that. We're doing that at some point this year, if not early next year. So my goal, and this is my big lofty goal, is that in Hunter's senior trip, his senior year, is that him and I step on our last continent together, which is Antarctica.
Well, but that's what it sounded like. The way you set that up was that sounded like...
We have to go the Drake Passage across to Antarctica because you got to go through those crazy 60-foot seas to get there. And I want that. So that's but we've been all over. Literally, we've been all over. And it's funny because there's every place we go still feels like home, no matter where we go. And I love it.
It's good to have goals. So Antarctica, we've lobbed on there as our next goal. I think you still have to be an adult at times.
All the time, yeah.
So I think when we had our pre-call a couple of weeks ago, you mentioned a story about, hey, we had a great cruise lined up, but being an adult came into play, and the business came into play.
We had to take the hit. We booked a cruise. We had, like I said, I master my calendar, and then I set goals that unless I'm running the ship, if I'm not there as the captain of the ship, the likelihood of hitting those goals are diminished very quickly. And something had to go. And I couldn't go on an 11-day cruise, come back for 6 days, and then take 14 days to go to Tokyo. That's irresponsible. My team isn't going to perform well. It makes sense. So, yeah, we had to eat the cost of the cruise that we lost and to make adult decisions. And in the end, it'll work for us. But yeah, it wasn't fun, man. So not only did I have to make an adult decision, I had to take a monetary hit as well.
Okay.
But let's get real. It's not that much money. I'm going to make that back 20-fold on the other side.
I'm curious. So if you're traveling a lot, do you get that as sort of a complaint that your clients are having?
All the time. Love it. And it's important because you have to train your clients. All right. I used to be the nice, good, oh, come on there, Dave. You know I'm always there for you. But now I just come right back at him. I'm very honest.
Because the concern is, hey, if you're always traveling, how are you there when I need you?
And that is first answer to that question is always going to be, that's why you have an amazing team, and every person in our office, nobody works with just me. You never come in and only sit with Jim. That never happens. You always have one of my other advisors or one of my clerical staff are always going to be available. They're always going to be part of that. But they still don't like people just don't like the idea that I'm gone. They always do these snide little remarks like, oh, where you at this time?
Yeah.
And I always come back and say, hey, Dave, listen, this time we're actually in Antigua, but just want to make sure you understand if there's anything you need, that I'm literally a phone call away anywhere I am in the world. And have I ever not been able to service your needs? And it almost immediately, oh, no, man, I'm not saying that. But the truth is listen, we're not getting any younger, man. We were talking before we got started. 50 came at me fast, man. Now I'm 53. I'll be 55, then I'll be 60. It's insane how quickly life goes by. And I am in a profession where I see people retire and maybe they have tons of money, but guess what else they got? Tons of regret because they didn't do anything with it. Yeah. And I think that's important. So yeah, I get it. And the other advisors are going to get it every single time. Yeah. It's how you handle it that matters. And we are hyper focused on serving our clients. We are the Chick-fil-A, the Starbucks of our area when it comes to financial services. That's our model that we follow.
Well, I love that you meet it head on. That you're not sheepish about.
Used to be sheepish, no longer.
Was there like a
Yeah, because I had the same. Let's say he's known me since I was 13. And one day, I love Sandy, by the way. And one day I just had enough, Sandy. And I just told her, I said, listen, you act like I'm not here. Anytime you need me, we talk when I'm in Switzerland. Yeah, it's an 8-hour difference, 7-hour difference, So yeah, you hit it head on, and you just can't be meek, man. You can't.
Could this have happened with? Because we went out to your office a few years ago to shoot cribs.
Yeah, remember how tiny that was?
There was a couple of employees, and it was a small office, and it's now grown, and now you have other advisors, and the practice has expanded. Yeah. Could you guys have achieved this goal of where you're at right now if you didn't empower the team around you?
No, and I'm going to do you one better, and I like how you craft it, but let's just be honest. So our business grew because of the efforts that Michelle and I really put into the business. Yep. But it never would have grown without the impact that Impact had on my family. That start there. Mm-hmm. Before there were more employees, before there was a bigger office, before there was R2D2, okay, before any of that stuff could exist, there was Jim and Michelle and a guy who called us from Impact that convinced us that we could maintain the same lifestyle but do 8 million instead of 4. And then that 8 became 12. This is why I don't like him. Then the 12 became 15, and the 15 became 20.
Those goalposts kept moving on you.
Sometimes you better be careful what you ask for, because sometimes you'll get it. But it's that relationship, and that's what helped us grow from those small. Remember how those 2 offices were? And I got it. It was amazing, right? Now we're at 4,000 square feet. We've got. I've got the hard rock of guitars. I've got a signed Beatles guitar. I've got all these cool things all that happened because of our relationship with Impact helping us grow. And then that allowed us to bring our employees in, and they're not other employees, they're our friends, right? And now they're seeing it. Literally before I came here, my buddy asked me, one of my advisors, he goes, are they clapping for you when you came in? Because he went to Impact and he experienced the home office, right? Yep. He loves that stuff. And it truly is a partnership. It's a partnership with my level, or with my relationship with Impact, but it's also a partnership with my relationship with my employees, right? We are in this together, and if we do it together, we're going to succeed. And if we don't do it together, yeah, we might have moments of success, but it's not going to grow and it's not going to be sustainable.
One thing that jumped out to me when we talk about empowering your office and kind of growing your team around you was how you use incentives to motivate your team. And I mean, yes, it's heavy-handed, but I think it speaks volumes when you can set these sort of goals for the people around you.
Yeah, and the hardest thing, so I love my goals, and I feel that you can never be too generous. All right, and always, this is a horrible thing to say, but I can say it here to other financial advisors. Okay. Nothing says I love you like a check with your name on it, okay? So when the dust settles, that's love, right? And we believe in being very generous as long as we hit the goals. But sometimes we miss the goals. And my team, boy, they put it on. They turned it on. The last 2 months of 2025, they were there. They were hooking and they were jabbing and they were fighting because they had a big incentive. I mean, the biggest I have ever done combined and multiplied, right?
I'm going to ask you what it is.
It was 20 grand, man.
Okay.
That's what they each were. We had to blow it out of the water. They turned it on, but I've been begging them, turn it on in June, turn it on in August, turn it on in September.
Yeah.
And they just didn't have that. But all of a sudden they realized, oh, we're missing.
Yeah.
And they missed it by $2.3 million. And they're like, can we get a little bit of extra time?
Oh, I got to know your answer to that.
And you know the answer was no, absolutely not. I'm a Marine, man. Look, if I strike out, I don't say, come on, can I get one more pitch?
Yeah, can I get strike four?
Right? And I really, God, I hope my team doesn't watch this. I really thought I was going to get more pushback from them. And they all came in, they said, thank you. Thank you for holding it down and not doing that.
Yeah, accountability.
And then we, 26.
Yeah.
So I'm giving them what I'm calling the Ferrari. They do what I want done in 26. Man, everyone smiles at the end of the year when it comes to bonuses.
Can I ask what it is? Can I ask what the parameters are?
Let's put it this way. It's not so the parameters is we got to double our AUM.
Okay.
All right, we got to double our AUM. That's one of the big ones, but that includes market growth. So it's not just all new money. So the markets can help drive that number.
Yeah.
The annuities we have to have a 35% increase in annuity production, and if we do that, then they're going to get 35 grand. That's their numbers.
And does that make it easy to bring in talent?
I don't think so. I don't. I wish I could. I find that when you seek talent, you also bring in people who think they're better than you. They want to compete with you. You know what I find instead? I want hunger and loyalty. That's what I want. I want someone who loves being there, someone who loves being part of the family, someone who loves putting in the work, somebody that loves the opportunity. And I was a doofus guy out of the Marine Corps who was going to college to maybe be an engineer, but couldn't do math very well. And then he was going to be a cop. I mean, I was hungry though, and I wanted an opportunity, and that's what I focused on. And what I like to say is, and if anybody's watching military at all, I've got a group of people in my office, they'll go to war with me. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I catch myself because even right now, you can see it on my face. I love my team.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to me because these are the people that make my lives possible.
Yep.
And anytime I sit down with you guys, there's not a moment that I don't say thank you to you guys. I'm a kid from Rockledge, Florida, who grew up in a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house, 700 square feet with no electricity or no air conditioning. We had electricity.
Okay, good. I thought that was an interesting twist.
And it was crazy that through the grace of God and being in the right places at the right time, and met my soon-to-be wife who's from the other side of the tracks, and then I got into finance. Like, none of this stuff should have happened, but somehow it did. And there's not a day that goes by that I'm not thankful and grateful. And that's why I refuse to become a drone to this business. This business is a tool. We truly believe, and every day I do a devotional every day, and it's always the same. Give me the wisdom to communicate with people properly. I just want to be integrity. I want to be light. And I want to be hope. And I don't give a damn if you do business with me or not. I could care less, because when the dust settles on the other side of it, I know we got the right people in our office at the right time, and I truly believe that.
I want to get this last thing about your client experience, because I know your office has a map in it. And I know travel is so important to you. And I think that it makes your practice unique, because it is unique to your guys' dreams and ambitions and what you guys like. So tell me about what you guys have in there.
We have this massive, I don't know if it's 5 foot, 6 foot tall, but it's an entire wall. I mean, it literally is. You can stretch your arms out and not cover the map. So it's huge, right? Mm-hmm. And I always had this vision that, because this is the reality of my life. If you don't write it down, it's not going to happen, right? And so I had this idea for myself that we were going to go and put pins of all the places we want to go. And then the ceremony was, when we went, we took the white pin out and we put the blue pin in, right? And that indicated that we have accomplished a goal. And then one day I told Michelle, I said, I want to do this at the office for the clients, but I want to do it at a next level. I want it to be massive. And it's a ceremony that when somebody comes in to our office, before they become a client, I want them to start dreaming and thinking, hey, we're the places you want to go. And they take green pens and they put them in their places. And as much fun as that is, because we talk about that, and we always talk about, hey, don't forget, I cannot wait for you to turn that Dubrovnik pen from a green to a red.
Yeah.
We've had people come in just over the past few weeks, and they're coming in, they're switching those pens out, and they aren't coming in for a meeting. They're not coming in to talk about finances. They're coming to the office because they want that green pen to be a red pen. And I think that's such an amazing thing. And it just gives us one more tie into our clients. And it's part of that story. That's the thing, is that I'm a storyteller. I am not a finance guy. I'm a storyteller. And I sit down and I want to tell a story, and I want to be a part of yours. That's why I always tell people, I don't tell you what to do with your money. For God's sakes, I'm trying to figure out what to do with mine. I work with you to help you make good decisions so we can do the best possible things we can with your money. And that map is just one piece of the puzzle that I use to help people think and dream big.
I'm going to give you the chance to tell one more story, because my intel told me to ask you about the things that you've eaten on your travels and what may stand out or what may be the most regrettable thing you've ever eaten in your life. I'll defer to you. The floor is yours, but I do have an answer in mind. And if you don't give it to me, I'm going to make you tell me.
So there's a lot, right? So there's some really weird stuff. And we're going to Japan. That's going to be weird. I can't wait to go to China, because that I heard that takes it to the next level too. But the weirdest thing, hands down, going back to that Chavoja tribe, that was the name of the tribe in Peru. And we stayed with them. And again, we were hungry, bro, we were hungry. Like Michelle, who was already too thin, was like Ethiopian small, right? And they were feeding us pine nuts, right? And some rice. And one day they're like, hey, we're having meat tonight. And we're like, we're having meat. So whatever meat showed up on the plate still had hair on it, right? And it was like charred hair, but it was there. So like I'm hungry, so I'm gonna take a bite. I look over at Michelle; she's devouring the meat, and I'm like, my Spanish is horrible. They don't speak Spanish, but they have certain words. I'm like, I'm like, ¿qué? And he's like, mono. I'm like, ooh. He's like, sí, and I'm like, I can't do it. I've already taken a few bites, but I couldn't do it.
Really?
Michelle leans over. She goes, you gonna eat your monkey? And Michelle crushed that monkey and ate it. And it was, a unique experience. There's very few people on the planet that have eaten monkey. And I regret that I am one of them. But it was such a great, it's just one of many, crazy things that we've done. And I love it, man. And if I died tomorrow, I can truly say that I feel like I've had not only the most amazing life, but I've had such amazing impact on so many other people. And my kids have the opposite story of me. I never went anywhere, and they've been everywhere. Mm-hmm. And if someone asks us, have you been here? We said no, but it's on our list because we're going there too. So so that's it.
So a very unique story for a very unique practice. Thank you so much for taking the time and shining the light on how your practice works and also what lights your fire.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. I appreciate it, man. And again, I just got to wrap it up. I was just a guy working out of the trunk of his car, and I can't believe how the good Lord brought me to this point. And I want to take just an opportunity to say thank you again, because if it weren't for you and Impact and everything you guys have done for us, I don't know where we would be. I don't know. And I know that it's not about Jim, Michelle, Hunter, and River having this amazing life. It's all the other lives that we are touching because of you guys. So I truly, a lot of people talk about things. I truly believe in the partnership, and I believe without it, we wouldn't be where we're at. So thank you, Dave. Appreciate it.
Well, I can't take all of the credit. I'll take some, because that's what I do. But
you're the representative. So, Jim, I'm glad I called you.
Dang, sorry. But yes, you're welcome. That's all that jazz. So yeah, thank you so much for taking the time. We really appreciate it. And thank you so much for watching. We hope you picked up on something. We hope you maybe added a pin to your map, and you can go visit a place. And if you're looking for better ways to grow your practice, our YouTube channel is the best way. Like and subscribe. We've got all kinds of great content on there. Whether you're looking to expand your marketing, looking to sell with stories, anything, it's on that YouTube channel. So go ahead, like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.